What's up, everybody? We're back. Another new episode of the Last Week Podcast. If you're new here, we deal with topics like ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, conspiracies, and pretty much everything under the paranormal or weird umbrella. If you're new here, we thank you for listening. And if this is your very first time, I'm not exactly sure what got you to pop in on this one, but welcome. Welcome to the podcast. This is actually going to be a shortwaves episode. Shortwaves was something I started a while ago when I was just doing this myself, and some topics just didn't really need to be a 30, 45-minute episode. They could expand into that. They could expand it to further episodes in the future. But some interesting things that I just wanted to go over that have really come across at least my social media in the last few weeks and really the last few months is some kind of crazy planetary changes. Um, we've got this weird stuff going on with solar flares. I must have sounded like a one of those people on the side of the road with a tinfoil hat on to most of my friends and to some of the fans. Just talking about solar flares there so much because it seemed like every other day or at least once a week, people were seeing, and I was seeing articles for solar flares. There's another solar flare this week, another storm, another CME, et cetera, et cetera. And we've had those, and we had those, and we had those, and they built up and built up. But now we're starting to see even crazier articles. What was it last month? I believe it was that it was announced that the Earth's rotation speed has increased. I mean, it's not by a tremendous amount, but it's a noticeable amount that our rotation has changed. And then we're also seeing, and these are scientific. This is not mom and pop websites. This is scientific stuff being put out on Twitter from establishments, on other social media sites, articles, that kind of thing. And they're talking about weird magnetic waves they think could be coming from inside the Earth that they haven't detected before, or weird waves from out in space that are hitting Earth. Um, Obviously, sunspots. The sunspots lined up in a shape of a smiley face last week. I mean, just all kinds of crazy stuff, and it's mentioning that we're having other anomalies are happening, and then all of a sudden, there was an article the other week that scientists may have found another planet, or planet number 9 now since Pluto's gone instead of planet 10, planet X or Nibiru, whatever you want to call it. But it's really, and if you've listened to, I don't know if it was on the Patreon or one of the other episodes, I have kind of an absurd link to that, to this situation, to a novel series that I'm not going to bring up because my friends made a good point that makes you sound kind of crazy. But it basically describes what happens when a interplanetary civilization finds out how to transport, teleport, what have you, a war moon through space and arrive at like boom, right outside your planet, and then the invasion starts. Now, do I think that's what's going to happen? No, but however, it is very interesting the fact that in the book series, as this planet is approaching, and it takes years for it to cross, the space, the void, whatever. And as it's coming, people are hearing strange sounds in the sky. And we've seen videos over the last, decade or so. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2 years. It would take years in the series for this planetoid to arrive or to teleport. And we've seen the last, 10, maybe a decade, maybe a little bit more. I can't remember exactly, but those videos of, strange trumpet sounds in the sky from around the world. You see them in a lot of places. And they have no explanation. and we see also in that book series that there is gravitational anomalies to the planets. There is I don't think there's time anomalies, but there's definitely magnetic and other strange anomalies because obviously it affects an entire planet as it's entering into the atmosphere, or not into the atmosphere, but into the general area, into the system, certainly. So it's and again it's ridiculous, but it kind of, I mean, it makes sense. Everything we're seeing, and it's a new something strange in space every day now. And if you go back throughout history, there's reports. If you look at the Colburn texts, they talk about the Great Destroyer, I believe is what it's called, and how, and obviously we had the big mess. Everyone was talking about Nibiru a few years ago, and how the asteroid belt is actually the remnants of a planet. And when this great, bigger planet comes through from this very far away orbit, 3,600 years, I believe they say, then it basically smashed into a planet that was there, destroying it, creating the Kuiper belt or the asteroid belt. That's one of the theories. Again, I have no idea how we would be able to even approach to prove that, seeing as how we've been, alive for like a blip in time as far as the human race goes. But again, it's just very interesting that it's a very interesting correlation that we are seeing, and this is within the last 3 months. We've seen again articles, news stories. Our satellites are going out. Our internet's going out. All these things are. It seems like they're building. People are seemingly getting crazier. I think it's pretty clear the world is getting more crazy at this moment. So it seems like maybe something is coming. Maybe there is a planetary body. Maybe it's time for Nibiru to come back around. What have you? I have no idea, but it's an extremely interesting thing to look into. It's one of those things that you sound foolish for looking into, but secretly, when you start looking into it, you're like, hold on a minute. This seems like okay, all right, there could be something. It's one of those things. I mean, if you look at the the Anunnaki, I believe it was, and they came from, I can't remember. I've seen so many ancient alien episodes and still can't remember. But the Anunnaki legends and the legends out of Mesopotamia, of Egypt, of their people or their ancestors, their gods coming from planets that are not here, um, and just things like that. Like it's very, very fascinating that throughout history, and if you go back a certain number of years, it could be the reason that we have random asteroid impacts that are so massive. It could be that it's not asteroid impacts, or the fact that it's this this body entering our solar system and throwing off things so much that are that we have a pole shift, which we see evidence of. We see evidence of that all around the world. We have fully frozen, fully intact, ice age creatures, with the green stuff still in their stomachs. I mean, that is clear, clear evidence of an extremely like cold moment. That's flash freezing more or less. So it's just such an interesting topic that if you start pulling the strings to it, it just gets more intriguing the further you go, and it's kind of a rabbit hole. But I didn't feel like, maybe I'll bring it up with the guys and we'll discuss it, on a future episode. But I kind of just wanted to bring it up and start a conversation on it. Comment down below, give me your thoughts. If you've seen stuff about the solar flares and whatever, if you have thoughts on this, I mean, earthquakes or the rise in earthquakes, the rise in volcanic eruptions, and it's always, maybe there's not a rise in that stuff happening. It's just that we know about it more easily and more readily than we would in previous years. But there's definitely, it feels like there's some strangeness going on, and it feels like the last number of years maybe even since 2012, that we've just been on a wild and crazy ride, and we're not even living. We're just like living through moments in history that should all be like their own 10-year moment, but they're like one every 2 weeks. So it's would seem like we're building towards something, but I'm not sure. It's just an interesting topic. I would love to hear your thoughts. You can call me crazy. That's fine. I don't know, but yeah, let's get a discussion going. Definitely leave some comments down below. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check us out on Facebook, TikTok. TikTok's growing a little slowly. We're getting some shorter videos over there. We're actually going to be probably uploading some evidence from our recent paranormal investigation to TikTok, and also we have the Patreon, which we have multiple recordings already for multiple Patreon exclusive episodes, where we can get a little bit more, on certain topics and a little bit more off other topics than you can on YouTube. So check us out on Patreon as well, and support the show if you want to. If you like what you hear, like what you see, and like what we're doing, uh, we appreciate it. And if you've made it this far into this little short wave video, I appreciate it. Thank you for listening. I'll let you get back to your day. Have a great one, and happy adventures. Take care of yourself. Take 5 minutes for yourself today. It's all right to do that. Find enjoyment in what we have and not necessarily what we want. And just be kind. Say a nice thing to somebody today. It shouldn't hurt anything. But that's all I got. We'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time.